time is 11:24. We are going back on the record. This is tape 2 of the deposition of Bill Gates.
Actually, I think it was 411. I'd like to mark as Government Exhibit 344, series of emails. First one being from Paul Moritz, dated April 12, 1995. The Exhibit 344, Mr. Gates, is a series of emails, and my initial questions are going to be about the very last one, which is an email from you to Craig Mundy, dated April 10, 1995. What were Mr. Mundy's responsibilities back in April of 1995?
He was doing the broadband online service work, which was sometimes referred to as interactive TV.
In the first paragraph you say, quote, given that we are looking at the Internet destroying our position as a setter of standards and APIs, do you see things we should do to use ACT assets to avoid this? What was your reference to ACT assets?
ACT, ACT. That's Craig Mundy's group.
Your email goes on to state, quote, I admit I find it hard to focus lots of resources on trials and things when the Internet is taking away our power every day. Close quote. In what sense did you mean the Internet was taking away Microsoft's power every day?
I meant that this is copied to people involved in the online service activity, Nathan, Rick, and Russ, and not to the Windows people at all. Looks like at 3 a.m. that morning, I was thinking about the fact that our ambitions for online service in the narrowband field, we needed to think if some of the broadband work that Craig was doing could come in and be helpful to that, particularly given that the Internet was changing the framework.
What was Mr. Rick Rashid's position back at Microsoft in April of '95?
He had actually two jobs at the time. He was involved in research, but mostly he'd moved over to help out with the ACT work, which is the interactive TV activities.
I'd like to mark as Exhibit 345, memorandum from Mr. Gates to his executive staff and direct reports entitled The Internet Tidal Wave. Do you recall authoring this memorandum, Mr. Gates?
Yes.
To whom did you send it?
It appears it was sent to executive staff and direct reports.
What does executive staff refer to?
It's an electronic mail alias of a group of people.
And who did that constitute as of May of 1995?
I'm not sure, but it would have included most of the officers.
On the second page of the memorandum, in the second paragraph, you say, quote, most important is that the Internet has bootstrapped itself as a place to publish content. It has enough users that it is benefiting from the positive feedback loop of the more users it gets, the more content it gets, and the more content it gets, the more users it gets. Can you explain what your reference was to a positive feedback loop?
It's explained right there. It says the more users it gets, the more content it gets, the more content it gets, the more users it gets. I mean, I don't expect that people know what the term means, so I explain it right in that sentence.
Is the positive feedback loop something that, in your estimation, would result in ever-increasing popularity of the Internet?
No.
Did you anticipate in May of 1995 that the Internet would become increasingly popular?
That it become more popular, yes.
It was one of the reasons you thought it would be more popular was that more content would be written for the Internet?
Created to Internet standards, yes.
And was your understanding or expectation that the more content that was written, the more users there would be?
Yes.
In the fourth page of your memorandum, you state in the second paragraph above the heading Next Steps, quote, a new competitor born on the Internet is Netscape. The browser is dominant with 70% usage share, allowing them to determine which network extensions will catch on. Recall how you determined that Netscape's usage share was 70%
No.
back at this time? Is your reference to network extensions a reference to APIs?
No.
What's it a reference to?
To network extensions.
How do you define that?
Things that let you do richer things across the network.
Give some examples.
Advanced HTML, HTML tables, HTML style tags.
Did you undertake a reorganization of Microsoft back at this time in order to position the company to respond better to the Internet?
Not at the time I wrote this memo.
Under the heading Next Steps, you say, quote, the challenge opportunity of the Internet is a key reason behind the recent organization, close quote. What were you referring to?
I'm not sure.
What did you perceive the challenge/opportunity of the Internet to be at this point in time?
That users were interested in using the Internet, and so we needed to make sure that our software is doing a good job of that, and that was a challenge in the sense that other people could do it, and that was competition, and an opportunity in the sense that it would grow the importance of our strong software work.
On the next page, you talk about various critical steps. Were these steps to respond to the challenge/opportunity of the internet you described in the earlier part of the memorandum?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
You outline several critical steps. Can you explain why you thought they were critical?
For all the reasons I cite in the entire memo. I mean, the whole memo, there's part of the memo that precedes these steps. I could read the memo up to the point of the critical steps to you if you want.
What was your purpose in sending this memorandum to your key executives?
To talk about my view of the internet tidal wave.
Could you also outline your views as to what steps Microsoft needed to take to respond to the internet tidal wave?
There's a part of the memo that talks about steps.
In that part of the memorandum, are you outlining the steps that needed to be taken in your view to respond to the internet tidal wave?
I'm suggesting some steps I think we should take. I wouldn't say they're all related to one particular thing, but I make some recommendations here.
The second step here relates to something called a client. Is that a reference to Internet Explorer?
No.
What's it a reference to?
Client here means Windows.
Say quote, first we need to offer a decent client, parens, O'Hare, closed parens, that exploits Windows 95 shortcuts. Is not O'Hare a reference to client here?
Client means client operating system.
Why did you put O'Hare in parentheses after the word client?
Probably because that's the part of Windows that exploits Windows 95 shortcuts.
What Windows 95 shortcuts did you have in mind?
Windows 95 shortcuts is a technical term, and the O'Hare part of Windows exploits this feature known as Windows shortcuts. It doesn't mean shortcut as in the common sense use of the term shortcut. It means the technical feature Windows 95 shortcuts.
When you use the term O'Hare in emails that you write, what do you mean?
Now in this case, I meant the group that was working on that part of Windows 95.
And what part is that?
The part that supported HTML.
Is that the part that became known as Internet Explorer?
Yeah, most of the work that in Internet Explorer came out of that group.
Further down in this paragraph, you refer to PlusPack. Is that again, a reference to something also referred to at Microsoft as frosting.
Yeah, frosting was a name we used for what later became known as Plus Pack.
Let's see. And recall that it was in or about this time frame that Microsoft was doing everything it possibly could to include the O'Hare client in the Windows 95 package.
And by that you mean the Windows 95 full product, yes.
Yes. Who was responsible at Microsoft for accomplishing that?
I'm not sure you could point to one individual.
Was there one individual that had primary responsibility?
Brad Silverberg managed the group that was doing a lot of that work.
Did you periodically have something you called Think Week?
Yes.
What is Think Week?
It's setting aside a week of time where I have no meetings or phone calls, and I get a chance to use products and learn about new research work that we're doing and other people are doing.
Do you recall that one of the subjects you devoted time to in your 1995 Think Week was the Internet?
I'm sure I did.
Do you recall receiving information from your subordinates in connection with the 1995 Think Week on the subject of the Internet?
Well, before I go up on Think Week, I get boxes of information, usually 3 cardboard boxes, and some of that I get a chance to look at, and some of it I don't. I don't recall specifically what I was given for that Think Week.
Mark, as Exhibit 346, memorandum, just like that, an email from Pat Farrell to Russ Stiegelman, dated May 3, 1995, on the subject of Bill G's Think Week documents. Pretty fine. Do you recall whether you reviewed the attachment to Exhibit 346 as in connection with your Think Week activities in 1995?
I don't think I did.
All right, well, ask me a question about that. How did the process work for giving you Think Week materials? Did your senior executives collect items that might be of interest to you and send them to you for your review?
Well, most of my Think Week time is focused on technology issues. And so there's a variety of people I solicit to provide input. It's not, many of them are not executives, but people who might have things that I'm interested in learning about.
If you recall that Mr. Siegelman was one of the people whom you asked to collect materials for you for your 1995 Think Week.
I think probably asked Brian Fleming to gather the material, and he would have gone out to the other people asking.
What position did Mr. Fleming have?
He had an assistant position working for me.
July 24th, 97. Was it your expectation that the inclusion of Internet Explorer with Windows would drive up Internet Explorer's market share?
Objection. Ambiguity.
I'm not sure what you mean. We do know that when we included Internet Explorer in Windows, it gained basically no market share.
To mark as Exhibit 347. What purports to be a transcript of a question and answer session with Mr. Gates and others at Microsoft Financial Analyst Day on July 24, 1997. And this is a document I downloaded from the Microsoft website, Mr. Gates. I ask you to take a look, sir, at page 8 of Exhibit 347. And before you do so, let me ask you this. Do you recall attending this Financial Analyst Day executive Q&A session?
Yes.
What is that exactly?
It's a chance for people to ask questions.
Who attends?
Some people from the press, some people from various financial firms or investment firms.
On page 8, here's the following question. Bill and Steve, you both referred to the importance of building browser share over the coming year. Can you be more explicit about why browser share is important to various aspects of your business, and maybe talk about some of the initiatives you're going to be undertaking to increase it? And then Mr. Ballmer gives a response, the last paragraph of which is as follows, quote, There are a lot of things we're investing in over the course of the next year in marketing. Of course, the new browser is the key thing, IE 4.0. But if you take a look at the initiatives, the content partnership the Paul's teams have formed, the things that we're doing with ISP, the work we're doing with large accounts on digital nervous systems, with the IE browser, IE3 today, IE4 tomorrow, is fairly fundamental to what we are doing on browser share. The way we're trying to get large accounts and large and small accounts to author their content to our dynamic HTML stuff, all of those actions should help, I think, drive up our browser share. And in your code, as saying, yeah, along with the integration. Do you recall that question and you were giving an answer, Mr. Gates?
No.
Do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of this transcript?
Well, in general, transcripts like this, which come off an audio tape, are somewhat unreliable. But I don't have a specific recollection about that specific question and answer.
And you have this one, January 6th, 1997. I'd like to mark as Exhibit 348 an email from Mr. Alchin to various people dated January 6, 1997. What do you understand the second email to contain, Mr. Gates, on Exhibit 348?
Looks like Ben Slifka's making some comments on something.
Do you understand that this email contains the slides that were prepared for a presentation you made or were to make in or about January of 1997?
No, these are not slides that were prepared for me to give. I think these are, they may have been something that Ben Slifka was looking at doing, I'm not sure.
Subject of the second email from Mr. Slifka to Mr. Moritz is overview slides for Build G/NC and a Java session with 14 pluses on Monday. Do you know what the reference is here to a session with 14 pluses?
Well, 14 probably refers to the fact that in our jobs in the technical group, there's level 14 is a fairly high level. And I know we had a meeting where we asked some of those high-level people to come and sit and talk about our strategy, indicate what they thought about the strategy.
Do you recall making a presentation yourself at that meeting?
I made a presentation, but not of these slides.
What was the subject of your presentation?
I don't recall exactly, but it certainly wasn't these slides.
Do you recall a discussion at that session of the NC and Java challenge?
No.
Do you have any understanding as to what's meant here by the NC and Java challenge?
I'm sure NC stands for Network Computer, and the competition that came from that direction. And Java, I'm sure, refers to the competition coming from that direction.
Why did you consider Java to be a challenge at this point in time, if you did?
Well, the term Java is used in a lot of different ways. There's a part of it with respect to run times that was a direct competitor to Windows.
Under key platform challenge, the memo states, quote, possible emergence of a set of APIs and underlying system software that lead to lesser or no role for Windows. Recall any of the portion of the discussion on this subject at that meeting?
No.
The next sentence says, puts our other server and apps businesses at a disadvantage. To recall any of the portion of the discussion on this subject at this meeting?
No.
Under the heading response summary, various items appear. One is increase IE share followed by integrate with Windows. Do you recall any of the discussion this portion of the meeting?
Well, remember, we haven't established that these slides that were ever presented at any meeting. So, no, I don't recall that being discussed, but doing it in the context of the slides means nothing to me because I certainly don't think I presented any slides.